Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the International Book Show. I'm Makonnen Sankofa, the host of the International Book Show. As well as being the host of the International Book Show, I'm also author of the book, The Rise of Rastafari, Life in Gambia, How to Market and Sell Your Book, and Experiences of Living Across Africa. Now, the International Book Show, if you don't know, is a platform that I launched over 4 years ago now. And I'm very happy and proud to say that over the last 4 years, well, over 4 years, I have had around 400 authors, publishers, booksellers, coaches, people in the book industry that have been on this platform. Now, in terms of the platform and how it works and how it runs, you'll be hearing from a variety of different authors that'll be talking about books on a range of different subjects. So they'll all have an allocated certain amount of time where they'll be speaking about their book or publishing services, or in the case of Sister Leggett, she'll be talking about the books that she sells for other authors. What I just want to do now for the people that are joining us via Zoom is a few house rules. So please mute yourself, so make sure there's no background noise. When people are coming in as well, please make sure you're on mute. Whether you want to have your video on and off, that's up to you. Look, people will be also watching on Facebook, the live stream and the recording, and it's also the recording will go onto YouTube. So authors, please mention where your book's available to be purchased from and say it. Put it into the Zoom chat, but also bearing in mind that most people are going to be watching the recording of the show, like please state exactly where your books can be purchased from. I normally say it's good to do it a couple of times, maybe once in the middle and once in the end. And any contact details that you want to share, if you want to share emails or your numbers or whatever, that social media links, go for it. That's all up to you. So I'm now going to start things off by introducing the first author on this episode of the International Book Show, the July 2024 episode, and it's Kandasi Chimberi. Kandasi, I would like to welcome you onto the International Book Show for the second time. You featured on the International Book Show before. I can't remember how long ago. It might have been like about 2 years ago now. Probably let's just say 2 years anyway. I can't put it down to exactly the whole years and the months, but it's probably about 2 years ago. And it was a joy to have you talk about your books. I've invited you back on. So Kandasi Chimberi, for those who don't know, please, start by just telling, the audience, where you're based, briefly introduce yourself, and then, yeah, tell them all about, the books that you've written.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me back again. I'm based in London, in the UK. And I think, as you said, yeah, I think we met about 3 years ago virtually. It might have actually been 2020. It could have been as long as 4 years ago. But yes, I am a children's author. I write books mainly about Black history. So I'm mainly a non-fiction author, and that's the area that I focus on. So I'm just going to share my screen so I can show you a few pictures of some of my books and some of the work that I do. So I hope you can see my screen. Let me know if you can't. But yeah, if not, if I don't hear no, then I'll just launch into it. So let me just see if I can advance the screen. So I actually began writing books and I began as a self-publisher and I started on this journey 15 years ago. And these are four of the books that I did. The first book I did was a little activity book called Step Back in Time to Ancient Kush, which is still selling. Sold many, many copies of this. And I've also managed to sell it into museums because, as I said, I'm a Black history author. And one of the things that I wanted to do was focus on books for children about topics that weren't being covered. So here in the UK, I found that when I went into bookshops and I was looking for Black history books for children, I found that the topics were very, very limited. There tended to be a lot about enslavement and partly because of the way the mainstream publishing industry is, a lot of the books that were available were about African American history, which is very important. But of course, being here in Britain, we have people from a diversity of backgrounds. My heritage is actually Barbadian. We have people here in the UK, in London, from Africa, from the Caribbean, as well as from America. So I felt a little bit disappointed that there was such a limited range of Black history books for children. And I also believe that Black history goes back thousands and thousands of years. And I'm one of these people who believes that we shouldn't actually start Black history for children with enslavement. I think we should start with ancient history. Enslavement is important to know about. It very much tells us a lot about some of the issues we have in the world today, but I don't think it's the beginning of the history. So this was the first book I did. It was an activity book. It was very, very well received. Self-published it. It was carried in museums in Berlin, here in the UK, it still is, and in the Barbados Museum as well. And I also did workshops around it in schools and museums that were also very well received. And because I got so much support and encouragement with the first book, it encouraged me to do a bit more. So I then did another two books about ancient history. One was called The Story of Early Ancient Egypt, because I wanted to focus a bit more on ancient Egypt, not so much the Roman and the Greek periods. And then I wrote another book, Secrets of the Afro Comb. So those were the three books that I did about ancient history. And then in 2018, I decided to do a book about modern Black British history called The Story of the Windrush. And this too was very well received, got a lot of support for it. I wrote the book because it actually coincided with the 70th anniversary of the arrival of a ship called the Windrush. And for those of you who are not here in Britain, we actually now have a day called Windrush Day. And this was a day when it's a day that we celebrate this event that happened in 1948, which was a period when we can mark the beginning of mass immigration from the Caribbean. So people like my parents came after 1948, but we mark this occasion or this event as one of the starting points. It wasn't that there weren't Black people in Britain before, there were, but there were some changes post-war and 1948 and the arrival of the Windrush. It's just a kind of a symbolic way of marking some changes in modern Britain. And so that book was also well received. And then in 2020 is when I decided that I was getting a little bit too old for self-publishing and posting out all these books and doing everything on top of having a job. So I decided to pivot and give traditional publishing a try. And I reached out and I got a book deal, and one of my conditions was that the Windrush book would be republished by the publisher, the mainstream publisher. And I got a book deal with Scholastic UK, and they actually reprinted the book, republished it just as I wanted, which I was very, very pleased about. And that meant that it was much more readily available than it could be if I was doing it on my own. So I have found pros and cons to both traditional publishing and self-publishing, but for me, it was the right thing to do at that time. So I'm quite pleased that I went down that route. And I do workshops going around to museums and libraries, bringing the history to children and adults. I also speak to corporates, both in the UK and in America, about some of the research that I've done behind the books that I do. I then published another book called, or I should say, I then had published another book called The Story of Afro Hair, 5,000 Years of History, Fashion and Styles. And this is a book that I wanted to write since 2013. So it actually was 10 years later that I was able to bring this book into being. So, with the story of the Windrush, it is very much a British event. It does affect people, and people from the Caribbean know a lot about it as well, but it is very much a part of British history. With the story of Afro here, I wanted to do something more global. I wanted to do a book that could be read by people anywhere in the world, whether they had Afro hair or not. Because, as I said, I wanted to write this book for about 10 years because I'd noticed that in nearly any country where there are people of African descent and they want to wear their hair in natural hairstyles, there always seems to be some issue, whether it's in the workplace or in schools, being told your hairstyle is not appropriate. If you're in a workplace, being seen as being less professional. And so I wanted to write a book, not to tell people to love their natural hair, because actually the book talks about other hairstyles as well. But just to explain a little bit about the biology of natural hair, why Afro hair is different, and also to explain a little bit about how people choose hairstyles and why certain hairstyles were acceptable at certain periods of time, and really to make a book that would be an aid to discussion. And that's being used in schools as well. When it came out, it was awarded Indie Book of the Month, which was really good because that meant that all the bookshops in the UK and in Ireland actually carried the book for the month and promoted it, and the publisher got behind it. So I was very, very pleased about that. But as I said, I did write it to be a global story, although at the moment it's more available in the UK. Having said that, there is a website called Awesome Books who do free worldwide delivery. So no matter where you are in the world, you can still get this and all my books through Awesome Books. As I said, I love writing books about topics that are a little bit overlooked, not usually being covered. And so the next book I did was called The Story of Britain's Black Airmen. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the overlooked contributions of Black airmen to Britain. But these people here, they didn't just contribute to Britain. Some of these men participated during the Second World War. And after that, they went to other countries. So some of them went to the United States, where they took part in the civil rights movement. Some of them went to Sierra Leone and Barbados, where they helped the countries become independent from Britain. So that was something that I felt we hadn't really covered a lot. And I felt children should know about it, but also adults as well. And I have another book coming out in September. It's called The Story of Britain's Black Nurses. It's not out yet, but it is available to pre-order. So in the UK, you can get it from the independent booksellers, you can get it from all the usual places, as well as some of the black booksellers that have always supported me from the days that I was self-publishing right through to today. And if you're abroad, you can also get the book through Awesome Books, as I mentioned. And this is a story that, again, was something that I felt we overlook a lot. I feel that so many people will know someone who is a nurse or was a nurse, but to actually tell the story of nursing, Black nurses, I felt it was an important story because it's something that for a long time, Black women actually were not encouraged to be nurses, and they had to fight for the right to be able to nurse, to become professional nurses. So I wanted to tell that story and also to help people to recognize that some of the issues we see today with inequality in nursing, so we can understand some of the historic roots, and hopefully by having better education and understanding of these things, hopefully do a bit more in the future. So that's a little bit about the books that I've written. And I have put here my contact details if you want to learn more, if you want to keep in touch. I'm mostly active on Instagram, but I also do visit Twitter and Facebook. And I've also put my website where you can find out a bit more about all the books and a bit more about the work that I do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Kandasi Chimberi. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do a quick screen share before we go on to the next author. Just bear with me. Just again, I'm just going to reiterate that's author Kandasi Chimberi. This is a photo of one of her books, The Story of Britain's Black Nurses. She's got several book titles, including The Story of Britain's Black Nurses, as I just mentioned, The Story of Britain's Black Airmen, The Story of Afro Hair, The Story of the Windrush, Step Back into Time to Ancient Kush, The Story of Ancient Egypt, Secrets of the Afro Comb. Um, Her website, you can get her books internationally on the website, which is awesomebooks.com. And she's also got her own website, which is kandasichimberi.com. Um, so I'm now going to go on to the next author, or I should say authors, co-authors of a book, Trovers Orr. He's coming back onto the International Book Show for, I think it's his third appearance of the virtual book tour. He's been on there before, and he will be joined with Anisha, and they will both be speaking about the book that they've co-authored, they've written together. So, Trovers and Anissa, welcome to the International Book Show virtual book tour. I'll let you decide how you're going to do it, how you're going to split between the two of you, but I'm going to hand it over to you guys now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I've
loud
got
and
the
clear.
background,
Yeah.
the drums now playing up. So apologies for the background noise. Just at a festival in central London. So no, thank you again for having me on the show. My name's Trovazor, and I'm the author of the amazing educational children's books, Murray the Milkman. I've got a new book of part of the Murray the Milkman series, and which I find is the instrumental factor of the books are a factor of trying to empower millions of children around the world that look like myself and of diverse backgrounds to believe in their dreams, like to believe that anything's possible. And with that, I was doing them through the Murray the Milkman book series. So book series is from a black milkman perspective in running his own business, teaching about different life skills and dedication to making a living and teaching various life skills that he picks up on his journey, and it's all put in a story. I've understood the importance of well-being and environmental played in our everyday life, but also I'd also realised that I'd not been taught from an educational point of view about money management. So with that, I've being the creative person that I'd like to think I am, and also wanting to collaborate with others, I always found it as a way, I thought of a way, or how can I get Murray the Milkman to collaborate and also teach, as well as myself to teach, and also break into a different country or market of the USA. And this is where from a mutual friend, introduced us of a fellow author in America, who is also focusing on financial education. And with that, it was to have a collaborative approach, which was a goal of mine, but also the main objective from Murray book series is to teach life skills. And this life skill was money management. And collaborating with a co-author was new. It was a new experience for myself, and it was also different. And it was definitely an exciting challenge as well. And this is where Anisha and myself collaborated on the books, producing our new book, collaborative book, called Money Seeds. And it's just teaching children, to encourage children of money management and also about entrepreneurship skills. Teaching the characters, Murray the Milkman, teaching the characters about money management. And with doing it with Anisha, as I said, it was a joy, it was a pleasure, and also learning the financial side myself from different angles as well. As she will talk to more details about her books as well off the back into generating the collaboration into Money Seeds. So I don't want to go too much. I will pass over onto Anisha.
Hi, Trovers. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sorry, let me just.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me on. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to be here. And I really appreciate Trovers for, giving me the opportunity to come on with him and also collaborate with him. So I am Anissa Morgan, and I am located in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am a author of financial literacy books. So a little about my background. I'm originally from Jamaica. My parents migrated to the States when I was about 6 years old. And when I turned 10 years old, they decided that they would start sending me my lunch and allowance money for the month. And my grandmother at the time, didn't think it was a great idea because she thought I was going to waste the money. And if anyone knows me now, if you know me back then, one thing I would always do is, if you decided that, I couldn't do something, I was going to prove you wrong. And so literally I started learning how to budget and making sure that money lasted for the month. When I migrated to the States myself at about 17 years old for college and went into college, I realized that there's so many of my peers who had no idea about, money or any kind of financial literacy skills. Once I had my own children, I started, teaching this information to them, and I realized that, I should not be only teaching this to my children. I should teach it to every child, and that is how I decided to write my books. And so my first book was published. I'm a self-published author in 2018, and that book is called "Teach Me How to Money Now." When I published that book, I really realized that there are just so many children as I started going around to the schools and, encouraging families to start teaching, their children about finances. Unfortunately, here in the US, very, very few schools teach anything on money management. And so it is up to the parents to do that. And parents can't teach what they don't know. And so, that leaves a huge gap. And I can definitely tell you that if I had gotten a penny for every time a parent or, said to me they wish someone had taught them this when they were young, I probably could have retired a long time ago. But it is definitely something that I know that is not being taught and that it is so important, right? Unfortunately, we may never use algebra after we leave high school, but we're definitely going to use money. So why are we not taught about that? And so that is the approach I took. After I wrote my first book, it's a collaborative book in terms of it talks to the parents and the children, encouraging the parents or families to start teaching their children. So it's really a book to help the parents start the conversation. Then I started teaching. I have three sons, my 5-year-old, Cooper, about, finances. And so I went definitely published a children's book, and that book is called Cooper Learns to Save. And so that's how I started the Cooper series. So we're up to Cooper Learns to Save, Cooper Learns about taxes, and the next two books in the series will be Cooper Learns about investing, and Cooper Learns learns about credit. And like Trover said, my cousin who worked with Trover's introduced us. And, once I published my first book, he was like, there's someone that I needed to meet. And, it has definitely been a great, great collaboration between it. It definitely took a while for us to, we wrote the book, but it took a while for us to get it published. But it was a great journey for me as well, learning about his books and about what he does and vice versa. And so I'm truly, truly excited about Money Seeds, wanting to plant those seeds for our children, to learn about money. And so that is just definitely something that I really, truly, truly hope that, families latch on to, is teaching their children this important lesson at an early age. Thank you.
Okay,
Trovers, we can't hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Trovers or Anissa Morgan. I'm just going to share my screen now. So can you see this on screen? It's PowerPoint presentation,
Yes.
the book Money
Yes.
Seeds. So this is a photo of the book that they've co-authored. The title of the book is called Money Seeds. The authors that we've just heard them speak, Trovers Orr and Anissa Morgan. As I mentioned, the title of the book is Money Seeds, and it's available to be purchased from the website www.readaware.co.uk. So if you want to get a copy of the book and go on the website, and then there's also the website will have Trover's other books that are available to be purchased on there as well. So the next speaker I'm going to introduce on the International Book Show is Joanne Hamilton. So Joanne, welcome to the International Book Show. This is the first time she's featured on the show. It's a pleasure to have you on. Just please start by basically giving an introduction, telling us where you're based. Briefly tell us a little bit about yourself, very briefly, and then go on to tell us all about the book you've written.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joan Hamilton. I'm the writer of the book Josephine's Jamaican Journey, Book 1 in the Yard. This is the cover of my book. This is my first published work. I previously worked as a missionary in a Christian organization in Jamaica, which involved social work and teaching the gospel. I also worked in banking in Jamaica, where I really enjoyed learning and implementing policies and organizational procedures. Then I moved to Canada in the year 2000 and worked in the insurance industry, again in administration. My last job was as an interpreter of the Jamaican dialect for our federal police in Canada. I thoroughly enjoyed that job, as I really enjoy interacting with the things that are Jamaican. I wish to thank Makonnen for the opportunity to share on this forum about my book. I also wish to thank my publishers, my editor Angela, and Homer Slack, who is in charge of all the technical things and the illustrations pertaining to my book. They're from Select Arrow Publishers, and they've really done a lot of hard work with me. And as we are now into preparing book 2, we're at it again. The book is a volume of 8 short stories set in the 1960s in Jamaica, in the inner city community of 3 miles off Spanish Town Road in Kingston, Payne Avenue to be exact. So the titles are Meet the Family, The Promenade, The Tenement Yard, Mama Fowley, Miss Beryl de Beta, The Crippled Puppy, The Yellow Hat, and Miss Sheila in Relief. The stories are easy to read and very relatable. Jamaica got our independence from Britain in 1962, so the stories cover some of the transitioning situations that were experienced at the time. The characters are people that I admired and enjoyed observing, even though back then some behaviors would now be considered politically incorrect or even abusive. I believe in not rewriting our history to remove the negatives, so the recollections are sometimes so real that they may elicit indignation with our new awareness. Please bear in mind the era and the times and add grace as you read. The stories are autobiographical and represent to the reader the life that the child is observing. She was 4 to 6 years old at the time, Josephine. Having migrated to Canada in 2000, I found that I missed home. Memories would sometimes assail my senses, and I wrote them down. I wrote the stories for myself and had no intention of ever publishing them, even though I was pushed to do so many times by friends and family. A very good friend of mine, Velmore Lawrence, shared 3 of my stories with my publishers last year, and here we are now. The memories that make up the stories are mostly happy, nostalgic ones, and brought me joy as I recalled growing up in my community in the 1960s. I wrote of where I lived and some of the characters and situations that left indelible impressions upon me. These are happy memories seen through the eyes of an all-seeing little girl. The stories fit neatly into the storytelling or narrative genre of writing. The characters, I found that the characters and how they spoke really ignited in me a sense of excitement for what is Jamaican. And so it was important for me to convey what they said. I myself enjoy listening to a good story. Someone who can relate the story with all the nuances really tickles me. And so my characters are real, and there's some Jamaican dialect. Luckily for us, my publishers, my editor was so wise enough that each story has its own glossary for words that we might not no longer use or foreigners might not understand. It's important for us to know that the stories are real because I'm a proud Jamaican. I believe that it's important to know and to accept our past. It's healthy for us to be able to view our past and to learn from it to create a better individual and a better next generation. The stories are also very Jamaican and they contain many Jamaican cultural nuances. Some of the things that are shown is that we are a truly strong and resilient people. And over time, we have overcome hardships and we continue to persevere and to survive and to thrive. I so enjoy going to faraway places and finding a Jamaican thriving in that space. I went once to a very rural part of Canada to work for 6 weeks and found a Jamaican grandmother cooking and selling jerk chicken. All my Canadian colleagues enjoyed her lunch, and while we were there for the 6 weeks, we went there every day to eat. Recalling our experiences as Jamaicans, as Jamaican individuals, propels us to the next levels, individually and collectively. Factors such as how small a population or country we are, yet how large a space we occupy on the world stage in so many ways are very important to me and are informed by the experiences of our people. The fact that we're a nation made up of multiple ethnicities serves to strengthen our worldview. We do not have only one perspective of struggle. Being Jamaican presents many stories of struggles and overcoming those issues. So it's important for me to write because we can preserve our culture. And in doing that, I'm highlighting some of the factors that create our culture. Growing up in the inner city, I learned contentment, thankfulness, appreciation for what I have or didn't have, empathy for others, sharing, giving, and receiving. I learned to love myself and not pretend to be someone else. I learned, and I'm still learning, not to judge as each person is doing the best they can with what they have. And so these are some of the areas of my development that were shaped by growing up in the yard. I didn't know, for instance, that growing up the way we were growing up was less than optimal for the development of a child. But I did notice that there were some things, some family situations that might have been better for us than others. Some, for instance, where there was a dad in attendance most of the time, as against an absent father. Some where the mother had time to make a meal, as against being out working all the time and not being able to be there. So even though I didn't have optimal factors in my growing up, I was able to observe it in others. And truly, our neighbors and our friends were able to share with us because back then the village really did raise a child. The biggest takeaway from my book is that we need to be mindful of children. We need to stop speaking so much around them about mature things that only an adult should be discussing. We need to stop quarreling, possibly making heightened emotional statements and stuff in front of the children because it bothers them and it causes them stress for things that they cannot understand. A child should not have to worry about the fact that they can't afford to pay the rent because it's not them. They really need to remain children for as long as they can. And so we need to be very careful around our children. This is one of my biggest takeaways. And so I'm a grandma armed now with this recollection of myself as I deal with my grandchildren. I'm very careful how I handle them. You can benefit from my stories because they were funny. When I was writing the stories, they were laugh out funny for me. They're good for history keeping. They're excellent for reading together and explaining some of the old things to the younger folks. We can keep in mind how gentle a society we were then and try and figure out how we can help our government with a new initiative to restore some of our civic mindedness to Jamaica. Let us continue to be positive about our country as the Olympics have just gone and just finishing up, and we're always on the cutting edge of things as Jamaicans. And so I am very happy to present to you Josephine's Jamaican Journey, Book 1, In the Yard. The book is available on Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, and Select Arrow Publishing at www.selectarrow.net, http://selectarrow.net/Joe J Journey /. Thank you so much.
Joan's books are available from, as you mentioned, from Amazon. So I've shared the screen so you can see the cover of the book. Josephine's Jamaican Journey, short stories, book 1, In the Yard. Yeah, as I mentioned, it's available on Amazon, and you can see. Well, I've put it on the screen on display, so you've been able to see it for a little while now. That's where the book's available to be purchased from Amazon. John P. Hamilton, Josephine's Jamaican Journey. So the next author that will be speaking is Keisha Jackson. So Keisha should be talking about her book, Self-Love, A Journey to Emotional Healing. Please, Keisha, if you would just like to introduce yourself to begin with by saying what state you're in, briefly introduce yourself, and then tell us all about the book you've written, please.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is my book right here. Let's see if you can see it right. Okay. Self-Love, A Journey to Emotional Healing. I am from South Carolina. I am a wife and a mother of 3, 2 biologically. Okay. So thank you so much for having me here today. I wanted to introduce my book. This book is more than just words on pages. It is a heartfelt journey, a path towards understanding, accepting, and ultimately loving ourselves deeply and truly. In a fast-paced world, it is easy to lose sight of the important relationship we have, the relationship with ourselves. We often overlook the power of self-love and the profound healing it can bring to our lives. This book is a guide to rediscovering that power, to embracing our worth, and to finding peace within. My inspiration for writing this book was from a personal quest for understanding and healing for myself. Like many, I struggled with past trauma and the overwhelming weight of self-doubt. So writing became an outlet for me. And through that process, I turned my struggles into strengths. As I navigated my path to emotional well-being, I realized that many people shared similar experiences, but often lacked the tools or guidance to overcome them. So this realization fueled my desire to create a resource that will offer practical insight and a supportive companion for anyone embarking on their own healing journey. I wanted to share my story to inspire others, showing that while the road to self-love is challenging, it is also profoundly transformative and empowering. This book explores the complexities of emotional trauma, and it offers a compassionate roadmap to healing. Through reflective exercises, mindfulness practices, and empowering narratives, readers will discover the power of self-compassion and learn to nurture their inner strength. Whether you're facing anxiety, depression, or lingering effects of past trauma, this book is a supportive companion on your journey to reclaiming your worth and embracing a brighter and more confident future. One of the core messages in Self-Love, A Journey to Emotional Healing, is an inseparable connection between self-love and our spiritual journey, which I call Yah, but for purposes for everybody, I would use God. I hope that you will find not only a deeper understanding of yourself, but a closer relationship with God. Our childhood trauma significantly shapes who we become as adults. Many of us carry wounds from our past that influence our present behavior and relationships. Childhood trauma can manifest in various ways, often leading to patterns of self-doubt, fear, and unhealthy coping mechanisms. It is crucial to understand and address these past experiences to heal and move forward. In Self-Love, A Journey to Emotional Healing, I have delved into how childhood trauma affects our present behavior. This book encourages you to reflect on early experiences, recognize how they have shaped you, and to understand that healing is possible. By facing these deep-seated wounds and compassion and love, we can break free from the chains of our past. God loves us, and his love is so unwavering, unconditional, and ever present. When we start to see ourselves through God's eyes, we begin to understand that we are worthy of love and healing. This book encourages you to reflect on your own experiences and to embrace imperfections and to see them as part of the beautiful person that God has created within us. We are created in his image and his likeness. So there is a perspective on how we do conduct ourselves as individuals. And along the way, there are some childhood traumas that has gotten in the way of some things that we have learned through experiences. And so my book delves into that. And so one of my main key things that I will say a part of my tables of content was generational trauma. A lot of us were basically kind of what we saw from a parent's point of view. And so there's a lot of learned behavior that actually contributes to who we are, the things we've seen, the things we experience. And it could be good or bad. Most times we kind of affect our lives based upon the present at this time, the things that has occurred in bad ways. So trauma, generational trauma, how to identify it, and then accepting that trauma, that it has happened, but there's ways to break free and overcome that, and the healing process. And so that's what this book mainly is about. And so throughout this journey, I invite you to take the moments of stillness to pray, to meditate, and to listen to the whispers of your heart. Let God grace guide you through the healing process. Allow his love to fill the spaces where hurt and doubt once resided. And remember, you're never alone on this journey. God is with you every step of the way. As you read this book, I pray that you find courage to face the past, to strengthen and heal your wounds, and find faith in a brighter future for yourself. Let this book be a companion on your journey towards emotional healing and spiritual growth. And the foundation of my book is from a biblical Hebrew perspective. I found my journey. I started at 15 years old as a youth minister. And so along my journey, of course, growing up as a child, there was a lot of struggles from my mother being a single parent. My father was once in the picture here and there, but he was not present as he should have been. And so there was a great deal of lack and poverty and struggle. So that kind of overtook at some point of our lives to distress the situations of how we relate with people and how we reacted to life experiences, period. And so this book is a nonfiction book. This book is filled with stories about my own personal life. And it's also a self-help guide to those who need encouragement and tools and ways to create healing for themselves. And so I decided to write this book because I'm big on writing. It's like a therapeutic outlet for me. And so I wrote this book because I've come across so many women with like-minded experiences and traumas. And they felt so much of a need of everything that I encourage to empower them and to pray for them. And so I decided to put in the book and to share it with the world. So I pray that anyone that does decide to read it, that it will bless them, it will bring healing to them, and it will bring a spiritual relationship if they have not already built that with the Most High. And so I thank you so much once again for having me here, and thank you for your time.
Okay, just give me one moment. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so you should be able to see the screen now. It's got a picture of Keisha Jackson's book called Self-Love. Self-Love, A Journey to Emotional Healing. That's the book that she's been talking about. And her book is available on Amazon, as well as Barnes and Nobles if you're interested in getting a copy of the book. The next author that I'm going to go on to now is also in the States, is Wade Hudson. Please tell the audience what state you're joining us from, Wade. And also, yeah, briefly introduce yourself. Now, Wayne has written so many books. I can't count the number of books that Wade has written, but he's going to talk about his latest book. He also does book publishing as well. But I'll let you come on now and introduce yourself. So, welcome to the International Book Show Virtual Book Tour, Wade Hudson.
Uh, Hello, everyone, and thank you, McConaughey. Can you see me? I don't
Yeah,
see
yeah, we can
myself.
see you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate. Um, and I am a writer and a publisher. And I was a writer long before I became a publisher. But I want to talk first about my publishing efforts. In 1988, my wife and I, my wife, Cheryl Willis Hudson, recognized that there was a lack of books for children and young adults that addressed Black history, Black culture, and Black experiences. And we had two kids of our own, and we were looking for books for them, and we could not find them. So rather than continue to complain about the lack of these books, Cheryl and I decided that we would start our own book publishing company. So in 1988, Just Us Books was born. Now, when we started our company, most of the major publishers were not publishing books written and illustrated by Black authors and authors of color. There were only a handful of these authors who were being published. But we recognized that we had to not only publish the books, but we had to also become an advocate for diversity and inclusion in the industry. So when we started Just Us Books, uh, we were really more than uh, a business. It was a mission as well as a business. And we self-published several books. The first book that we published was the AfroBest ABC book, which presented Black characters illustrating and contorting their bodies to shape the letters of the alphabet, but also incorporating images and symbols from Black history, Black culture, our African experience. And we followed that book up with several other books. And Just Us Books really hit the ground running. And other people in the communities around the country recognize the need for these kinds of books. So we received a lot of great support uh, uh, when we started our company. Just Us Books now has published hundreds and hundreds of books for children and young adults. And we've been recognized around the country and around the world for our efforts to promote literacy and to uh, promote and lift up the importance of diversity and inclusion. Over the 35 years that we've been in business, we've seen a lot of changes in the industry. There are so many more uh, Black authors and illustrators of color who have been published now, and those of color as well. There are so many more uh, Black people who are publishing their own, starting their own publishing company. So we feel that we have been really at the forefront of much of the change, along with so many others that have taken place in the industry. Now, as I said earlier, I am a writer first, and we became a publisher out of necessity. I started writing when I was 7, 8 years of age, and I recognized that that was a gift that was given to me by the Creator. But I never really thought as I was growing up that I could pursue a career as a writer. I grew up in a little small town in Louisiana, and it was very segregated. I went to an all-black school system and grew up in an all-black community. And this was a period of Jim Crow, and it was really in the midst of the civil rights movement. Um, so I didn't really think that I could become a writer because the books in our school library and the books that we had in our school curriculum did not really have Black authors or books written by Black authors. So I didn't really think about pursuing writing as a career until I actually went to college, when I recognized at college that there were so many uh, Black writers and Black educators who have produced great works of literature that I had not known had been done. And that's when I decided that I would become a writer. My first endeavor at writing really was as a playwright. I wrote about 5 plays, and they all were produced on the professional stage. But in 1988, as I said, Cheryl and I recognized that there was such a big need for books for our young kids uh, that I made a career change, and we started Just Us Books. As a writer, I have written more than 50 books for young readers, fiction, nonfiction, picture books, chapter books, uh, novels. And my most recent book is The Day Mother Voted. And the idea for this book was born when I was writing my coming of age memoir called Defiant, Growing Up in the Jim Crow South, which was published 2 years ago. And writing that memoir, I started remembering a lot of the things that happened when I was growing up in that little small town called Mansfield. And one of the memories that came back was of my mother voting for the very first time. For most of her life in Mansfield, she and other Black people, as was the case in most of the South, could not vote. So the civil rights movement finally came to my hometown, my little small hometown, and changed a lot of the Jim Crow laws that had strangled our people for so long. And one of the successes was getting the right to vote. And the exhilaration and the happiness on my mother's face when she had that opportunity to vote for the first time stayed with me. And writing the memoir sort of brought it to the fore. I wanted to tell that story um, because I feel it's important now. We are facing in this country efforts to undo much of the progress that have taken place over the last 30, 40 years, including efforts to curtail the right to vote or to make it difficult for people of color and Black people to vote. And many young people, I felt, and I still feel, has sort of grown weak, sort of gotten to the point where they didn't really recognize the importance of voting as a civic engagement. So I felt by telling this story, it would help to lift up the importance of voting. And because of the election that's coming up in in November, the national presidential election. Um, again, the book would spotlight why voting is important, because now we have an opportunity to elect the first Black woman president in the history of this country. The book is a picture book, and I wanted to partner with an illustrator who could bring life to the words and illustrate the text in a way that would capture the grandeur and the majesty of that experience that my mother had, and also capture her and my brother and I, who are featured in the story, in a way that would resonate with young people. The book has gotten a lot of great reviews. We've done a lot to promote it. We've done book signings in different cities. We have a number of book signings that are set up over the next couple of months. But what we've also done, in addition to doing book signings, we have offered opportunities for people who have not registered to vote, the opportunity to register so they can participate in this upcoming election as well as local elections. So I'm excited about the book, and I am also so excited to be able to share with so many of you who are on this book show today. I'm encouraged to see so many people who are writing and telling their stories and publishing their own books. It is so important that we have a voice. It is so important that we connect across the diaspora as well too. And I'm taking notes as I listen to all of you, and hopefully I will be able to contact some of you so that we can network and share and cross promote and encourage each other. And again, I just want to thank McConnon for doing this international book show, because it provides a forum for us to connect. And honestly, I was not aware of any of you prior to this book show. Now I am, and I will help spread the word about what you're doing, and hopefully you will help spread the word about what I'm doing. Um, my book is available at bookstores everywhere. My personal website is booksbywadehudson.com, booksbywadehudson.com. And the website for my publishing company is justusbooks.com, justusbooks.com. And again, thank you for this opportunity to share, and hopefully let's keep this going. Thank you, McConnell.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Wade Hudson. I'm just gonna share my screen, so just give me a moment. Right, so you should be able to see a picture of Wade's latest book that he was talking about, among, other things he was talking about, like his publishing. But his latest book that he mentioned was The Day Medea Voted, which is the photograph of it is here on the screen share. You can see it where my arrow is over. Author again is Wade Hudson, author and publisher, and his books are available to be purchased from. He's written many. I think he said it's 50 or over 50 books. They're on his website. So if you go on booksbywadehudson.com, that's where you can get a copy of his books. I'm now going to play a video. The video is of Dr. Tamra Foley, and Dr. Tamra Foley, she is one of the sponsors of the International Book Show Virtual Book Tour. She's unable to be here on this episode of the show, but I have a video of her that I'm going to play for everyone to listen to. Can you just let me know whether you can hear this or not? Could you guys hear the video or not?
I can't hear it.
No,
Okay.
can't hear it.
Okay, just bear with me 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna play it now and just let me know if you can hear it now.
Of Education for All Now and Garwell Publishing. I'm so sorry that I'm not able to be there.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I can hear.
Hi, my name is Tamara Foley, and I am the owner of Education for All Now and Garwell Publishing. I'm so sorry that I'm not able to be there with you today due to family commitments, but I just want you to share a little bit about Garwell Publishing. We're an independent publishing agency, and we tailor publishing packages. It is not a one-size-fits-all. We know that each author's journey is different, and we know that each author's journey is special. And so we want you to know, so whether you're a first-time author or experienced writer just looking for some help in your publishing journey, that we're here for the perfect solution. Also, we offer comprehensive services that support every aspect of publishing. We offer editing, cover design, formatting, helping you with your ISBN and distribution. We can help you with that. And we make the process seamless and straightforward so that you can focus on what you want to do best, and that is your writing. We also work with people who are marketing masters. We don't do it, but we have someone that we collaborate with that can take you and make sure that your book or books hit the market with vibrant and hit the market just running. Okay, we want to make sure of that. Also, we have an event success kit, and that helps you to plan your book launch, helping you with any author events. This author's media package also helps you just to make a lasting impression with you as an author. So just wanted you to understand some of the things that we do. We're an unmatched personalized support services. We give you guidance. We custom tailor your package for you. And we offer comprehensive services and exceptional value. I also wanted to just share with you a couple of books that we've helped authors with. So here is the Young Achievers Guide, and this is a teacher, and she wanted a guide to go along to help middle schoolers. And so it's a motivational guide, but also an inspirational journal. We helped this author. She wanted to do a journal for families. And so we helped her. And also we have just different things in there that she wanted: a scripture of the day, a grateful prayer request, hopes and dreams. Also, she wanted something additional. So she hired young children to actually write the prayers here. So there are prayers for children and there are prayers for parents. So you can do this together. We also have our youngest author, and he wrote about his experience as a child who lost his father very early in life at age 5. And so that was really traumatic for him. And that's why it's called Tragic. And you see him and you see his father here. So this child guided us through what he wanted through his book. So it is not only just a book, but it's also a journal. So other children can write down their journey and write down how they're feeling. Just wonderful. We also help with someone to calm my mind. And this is an affirmation coloring book for adults. There's a 1 and a 2. One of our authors just wanted to do a poem, just a journal for poems. And so it's called A Poem a Day. And so here's some benefits of writing poetry to support your writing journey. One of our authors also wanted to do something for well-being, social emotional. support. So there's a weekly check-in. There are different sections. There's a section for well-being, a section for belonging, and a section for reflection. So just wanted to share some of the authors that have entrusted us with their books. Also, I wanted to introduce to you one of my creations that we launched on yesterday, and this is called Healing Hearts. And Healing Hearts is a journal for children in grades 3 through 8, and it's a poetry, reflection, and art journal. So you might say, wow, why would you do that for students so young? Well, just know that students have a lot of confusion. Sometimes they have a lot of emotions built up, and they really just need a way to express them, but express it in a fun way. So Healing Hearts is just that. So it's an incredible journey. There is a poem, and then there are questions, and then also a place for them to engage in art. And also they can engage in art on some of the poetry pages also. So journals and journaling is very important for children. One of the things that it helps them to do is express their emotions. It helps them, gives them just that safe outlet to express their emotions freely. They don't have to worry about somebody looking. They are actually writing, whether they're writing or they're reading the poetry or they're reflecting on the poetry or they're doing the art. It is a healthy way for them to express their emotions. Also, they develop coping strategies. So it allows them to manage their emotions, and it empowers them with valuable tools for resilience. It also promotes growth and healing. Remember, healing is a process, and healing takes time. So through this, they can track their progress, they can identify their patterns, and they can set goals as they're going through their healing journey. It also provides a sense of control. So journaling confronts a process given the circumstances. It gives children just some control over their stories and understanding and experiences. And it also empowers them an agency in their healing process. It gives them the control. It gives them the control that they need to help them through that process. Also, it helps to build self-awareness. So it encourages them, one, to reflect on their thoughts, to reflect on their behaviors and their experiences. And this leads to increased self-awareness and insight of their own emotional well-being. And journaling also helps to build their emotional intelligence. It also strengthens their communication skills. Remember, they are taking the time to write. So they're improving their communication as they're learning to articulate their thoughts and emotions. And this can impact positive relationships in their lives and positive relationships with others. And it also encourages creativity, engaging in creative activities such as writing and doodling and drawing, coloring. It stimulates that imagination and creativity. And it also offers just an alternative way for them to express themselves beyond words. I want you to know that this journal is available in our store at educationforallnow.org/shop. You can also go on my Linktree. It's Linktree/Tamra Foley, and you can purchase these. Also, with this comes, we developed what's called a Healing Hearts kits. And these kits are just a little insight of what they might look like. And so these Healing Heart kits is just a way for children. It's things that they can have. So we know that sometimes sour candy helps, the researcher says it helps children to calm themselves. And so it helps them to think through their emotions. There's also a stress ball that they can actually, if they're feeling stressed, instead of hitting a door or hitting someone, they can actually use their coordination and actually just express those emotions through that. And there's also what's called a calming piece, and that they can just rub that, and that's shown to help them calm. and a couple other things that I won't share with you is what we call bonus gifts. So if you're interested, please, 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 if you have questions, feel free to contact me. You can contact me at Educate Me at Education for All Now, and that's the 4.org. You can contact me at Garwell Publishing, publish at garwellpublishing.com. Our website is educationforallnow.org and garwellpublishing.com. Please, 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 if you have any questions or we can help you on your journey, we would be more than happy to do that. And again, congratulations to all of you and congratulations on your journey, and have a great one.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Makonnen, for this opportunity again. And thank you to everybody who's spoken so far. It's been really fascinating hearing everybody's journeys and books and, and the detail that everybody's gone into. So my name is Bharti Deer, and I am based in Reading in the UK, in England. And in my other job, I work as a child protection, but I'm the author of this book, and it's called Worth. And it got published in March 2021, so I'm still plugging it, although I'm working on my second one now. But I'm plugging Worth, and it's my memoir. So I am part African, part Asian. I was found abandoned on the roadside in Uganda as a baby, and I was subsequently adopted by an Asian family, Punjabi family. And so Worth is essentially about experiences that as a child of, just sort of hearing messages basically about me and people thinking I didn't understand them. And it's all about sort of the prejudice around illegitimacy, the prejudicial messages around being a girl, the prejudice around the racism, because I was half African. This is from the community itself, not my immediate adoptive family who really loved me. So my worth is really just about the impact of experiences that we have in our lives, experiences that bring our sense of worth up and experiences that bring our sense of worth down. Obviously, being adopted in a loving family, your experience is up. But when you're born illegitimate, you hear derogatory messages about you being found on the roadside. So I used to hear phrases like, she was just a piece of rubbish thrown away, and then she was found. I used to hear things like, she's got dirty blood inside her because I was illegitimate. I used to hear things like, why are you adopting a girl? Why did you adopt a girl? Why didn't you adopt a boy? Boys at least give you something. Girls are just a burden. And I used to hear things like, she's so dark, she's so ugly, who's going to marry her? So those sort of messages, which were just that's just a small snippet of the type of things I used to hear. So, those sort of messages can really impact on a child's sense of worth. And actually, since I've written the book, I just want to talk a bit about some adults that have been in touch with me. Many adults have been in touch with me, having heard similar messages, about their sex or their sexuality or their race. And, if they've had babies out of wedlock. So some communities can be very unforgiving, and some religions also can be very unforgiving. So they've talked to me about the impact that worth has had on their lives, and how they can relate to some of the things that I've written about. And hopefully they've also been able to make some affirmations, for themselves, because my book ends with affirmations that I used to help me build up my sense of worth, and my realization that it's not so much religion per se, but it's about spirituality and humanity, and what your own personal relationship is with God, not with the institution that you go to. The institution is just bricks and mortar. The people are just people. But what is your personal connection with God? And so that was my sense of worth coming out. That was my self-belief. That was my affirmation to myself that I am worthy and I'm a valuable human being, despite what the community thought. And one of the things that I have to say that I would like to say to people with children who are of a different color or disability or illness, we're all people and we're all of worth. We've all got value. We've all got a purpose. And, you know, for me, it took me literally, I would say, 30 to 40 years before I started believing in myself. I said in my book that I spent so many years comparing myself to Eastern and Western ideas of beauty and worth. And I found myself wanting. And it was literally, I would say, when I got to my near 40s that I started to really value myself and see myself as a beautiful woman, Black woman who deserves to be on this earth, who deserves to have love, who deserves to have friendships, who deserves to have a family, and who deserves to live, basically. That's my purpose. And the purpose of worth is really to get that message out there, that prejudice of any kind impacts on any human sense of worth, no matter how small they are, no matter how big they are. I'm astounded that people in their 70s and 80s write to me and tell me that they've never had a sense of worth. I think that's so incredibly sad that you can go through your whole life feeling like you don't belong to the human race, feeling like you shouldn't be here, feeling like you have absolutely no worth, no purpose, nothing, just waiting basically to die in that state. And I think that is so sad when I hear people writing to me. But then I also have had some very positive messages. I had somebody who read Worth, and he had 6 daughters in Uganda when he was in Uganda, and he had 3 or 4 sons. And he said that after he read my book and about the oppression of girls, basically, in the 60s and the 70s, he called all his daughters and he apologized to them. And he said, after reading this book, I realized how badly I treated you compared to your brothers. And this guy was in his late 80s, and he had got his daughters and he asked for forgiveness from them, said, I beat you, I treated you badly, I gave you no freedom, I didn't let you pursue your educational careers, I didn't let you have any wish, I didn't give you any freedom to choose your partners. I chose your partners for you. They all had arranged marriages. And he said, and I realized the wrong I did to all 6 of you, and I've asked your forgiveness. And that was the impact of Worth. And I think that story really, really touched me, because if Worth can reach out to even one person on earth and say to them, everybody is deserving and nobody should be prejudiced and nobody should be oppressed because of who they are, then I feel that my book has achieved something and my story has achieved something. So I would ask you to pick up this book. I would ask you to read it with an open mind. It is my memoir. It's my life story. And I'm very proud of what I've written and the message that this book gives to people, essentially. It's available on Amazon. It's also available in leading bookstores. I believe in the USA it's in a bookshop called Barnes & Noble, but, I'm not sure. I know that it's also in Canada. So Oh, thank you, Wade, for saying that. So do please pick up this book, and do please read it, and give reviews on Amazon and let me know what you think. Send me messages on Instagram. I'm just there in my name, Bharti Dhir, DHIR. So do please let me know how you got on with the book and what you think the central message is. And look out for my next book, which hopefully will be finished soon. So thank you very much, Makonnen. Thank you, everybody. And thank you to everyone for giving me this time and listening to me.
Okay, thank you very much. So that's Bharti Dhir. Bharti as well is one of the sponsors of the International Book Show. And her book, the book that she was talking about, is called Worth. You can see the picture of the photo, I should say, the photo of the front cover of the book here on the screen at the moment. It is available from Amazon, and that's where you can find it, and other retailers. But you know, Amazon's a popular place you can go to get a copy of the book Worth by Bharti Dhir. Right, I'm now going to go back to Sister Leggett. Sister Leggett from Nubian Nagist Books. Please introduce yourself and briefly tell us about you, and then tell us, where it's kind of linked, yourself and what you do. Tell us all about the books that you sell for other authors.
Greetings, everyone. Nubian Nagist Books here. Yes, as Makonnen says, I'm not an author, will be one day. And I sell other people's books. And over the years, I've met lots and lots of authors. And I'm just so proud of, I call him Prince Makonnen, because he did his first book, did a book launch, and then, he started the webinar, which has been fantastic, and it's been growing from strength to strength. And over the years as well, I've met many authors and personally know them, especially the British authors, because we always know a lot of the American authors and Canadian, those abroad. But I concentrate, not to say that I don't have our family from abroad, but I do search and look for the authors that are Black British as well. And that's my special niche, and it's been a wonderful journey. I see, yeah, Bharti, yeah, I'd like to meet you one day as well. She's one of the sponsors, So every time I go out, I meet all authors. But as I said, Makonnen did his first book. I'm plugging you tonight, Makonnen, The Rise of Rastafari. And he's gone from strength to strength, and he talks about the life in Gambia, an excellent book. As I was reading, I was like, do you know what? I need to go to Gambia because I haven't been. And he's just put everything step by step. So I felt that I could just go by myself, follow what's in the book, and I will feel comfortable and safe. And yes, a great book about how to market your book and self-publish it. So as I said, I go to so many different events and I meet so many people, and it's been a beautiful journey. My recent one, and I'm in love with this book. It is a children's 2-in-1. It's a reading book and a coloring book as well. And the young lady did this, just like some of you authors, you don't see no representation of yourself. And she came up with this idea of writing stories. So she's doing princesses, little girls at the moment. And it's so good because even her website is called The Nubian Princesses. So this book is about Kira. And when you open it, you've got the story. And on the other, you got the story, for example. And then on the other side, the children can actually color it all in. So it's exactly the same page, and they can learn about color coordination as well as learning about the book and about the character and the country. And this is based in Africa, and it's a beautiful storyline. She recently was in Croydon with her second book that she's published. And also, look at this. Isn't this just something the actual bag that goes with the book. And sorry, I haven't got the doll because she actually does a doll with each book and the bag. I'm just so in love with this. So soon we'll get my little dolly as well. The author's name is Renee Busu Hong, and the illustrator Daniel Minlo. Just last week, Sunday, I got another Black British author, and this book is about the Golden Seal, a storytelling family guide to limitless thinking, especially for children. Very richly colored, and the illustration and the storyline is really good. I won't spoil it for you, but it is a good story put together. And this is by Shola. We all know him as Shola. He's a griot and he plays the drums as well. So it's by Olushola Adibeye, aka Shola Story. So this is the latest one that we have on the market. We also have another author. Her name is Tracy J. Booth, and about the angel's smile. And so this is slightly more multicultural, and it's a poetic and educational children's story. It's about a boy who attends a school, enjoys the things that he does, and loves reading and writing stories too. Only he thinks he hasn't any friends, no one to talk to or play with at all. A time comes when his life changes, friends he gets, and more. It's a really excellent story, captivated, and inside as well, you've got like one side is the illustration and the story. Also, we've got a Professor Hakim Adi. And there's some issues at the moment with the university and the course that is actually devised. It's a research, a master's level course, and the university doesn't want it there. They're trying to say that, oh, there's not enough students and so forth. So they've taken it off. And there is a campaign at the moment. Now, I love this because he's done it in a story form, children's form, about the African migration. And as you can see, the front is the spaceship and how we as Africans are stolen from Africa, and diverse meaning spread out in the Americas and the Caribbean. And, you know, all our story is connected with the triangle trade. So he is literally saying here that, did you know that the very first African migration took place several million years ago? And one of the largest movements of African was forced migration. And Africans were taken by Europeans to work in slavery in America and the Caribbean. Many of their descendants still live in these places today. In the 20th and 21st century, some Africans left as students or workers, others as refugees escaping war or famine. Most moved to the other African countries, but a significant number made a new lifestyle elsewhere. Today, there are African communities in every continent of the world. So I'm part of the Windrush. I'm a Windrush baby. My parents met in the United Kingdom and they reside. A lot of them just only came for 5 years and they end up staying for X amount of years, 40 plus, 50 years, 60 years. And so we still got connection with the Caribbean, and a lot of our families are in America, are in Canada, and parts of Europe, and even some have now emigrated to Australia, etc. But as I always say, it's always good to be grounded in your roots and know where you're actually coming from. And this is such a nice illustration as well. he's got the map. Let me show you. And it's that's a world map. And the countries mentioned in the case study, he talks about the beginnings of Africa and Kemet. And it goes on to talk about, for example, a story about moving from Nigeria to Britain, 1960 to 1980. And I look forward to hearing Candice, because she's online as well. And she's done a similar book to talking about the migration. We have, as Black British, you really might think I'm being a bit biased, but I just want the American family to know that there is a lot of history over here. And when I traveled to America, it didn't dawn on me till one of my trips. And a lady said, "Is there Black people in America, in England, in Britain?" And I said, "Yes, there's a good number of us, you see." So it's nice. And I love this webinar because it connects us from all over the world. And we have this time with our space. Now, this one is about the discrimination that we received. And this lady is Naomi Thompson. And the book, as she calls it, the book they don't want you to read, Almost British. So even though we were born here, they still say, "Oh, you're not one of us," as well. So it's just absolutely crazy. So she talks about the discrimination at work and how her managers treated her, that she was an idiot and invisible. They expected her to ignore the unapologetic racial stereotyping and being passed over for promotion. They expected her to accept the coordinated and relentless persecution. Perhaps they thought she was too ordinary, too weak to fight for justice, but they were wrong. She had a voice and an indomitable spirit. So she actually wrote about what took place in her career, and she's written quite a few books as well. I'm being a little bit biased again to Hakeem Addy. Sorry, folks, I cover my books. I always have one for display, and the next one is always for sale. Now, this book is fantastic. African and Caribbean people in Britain. And this is such a well-researched book. It's such a breakdown. And it tells you, it goes into the history again about the slavery when we were stolen. So I'll just give you a synopsis. The early African presence in Britain, African Tudors and Stuarts, the infamous traffic that's to do with the slave trade, the freedom struggles, etc. How we were. There was wars and there was riots and resistance as well, and riots over here, and also from the Caribbean, the men were sent over to the World War I and the World War IIs as well. And he talks about in the book the Black liberation that had taken place in the United Kingdom. So having this webinar, it gives us a voice to say we are here and we've contributed a lot to the system and we won't be silent. In August, we will be having our carnival, and the carnival, McConan actually did a sketch on BBC, and there's a history of how the carnival came about in the United Kingdom through a death of Mr. Cochrane, and the brothers and sisters from Trinidad with a steel band, and they all got together, and Our Lady, I could see her face now. She was a journalist and she went to America and they literally threw her out of, come on, the lady's name, out of America. She came here and she did the newspaper and she had her office in Claudia Jones. Thank you very much, Candice. Thank you. Auntie Claudia. She done a tremendous foundation and groundwork for us. And now today we have the carnival, which they're trying to scale down, which they're trying to say we shouldn't have, etc., etc. And I stopped going to carnival, but I've started to go back. And I said, no, I'm claiming it. So this little book is a children's book, and it's so cute. The storyline, it's Nini at carnival, and she wants to go carnival, but the thing is, she hasn't got a costume, and a fairy godmother comes because everybody's all dressed up in order to go to the carnival. And the carnival queen, is this the lady? Fairy godmother, she helps her out. So it's a happy ending. So this is the front of the book. How lovely colored and illustrated. And then here's the other one as well. And I just had the idea whilst I was waiting to come on board that a lot of you are from America. And if it's possible, if you could just send me one of your books so I can have a read, and then at least I can make arrangements to get some of your books over here. You see, that would be really great. So as I say, it's a privilege, a pleasure to be on the webinar as well, and to see quite a few of you. And Trovers, Murray the Milkman, I've got all of his books. They're really, really, it's fantastic storyline. The latest book I didn't have here, he said, with savings and the Black entrepreneurs and the businesses that are here in the United Kingdom. And it's a really good storyline, and it really helps children learn about finance. And it was funny how we had talked about that. And I found one of my books. This is by Leah Salmon, and she talks about this particular book about budget behavior and belief, and it's all to do with the B's and how you lay down and start your financial journey in order to save, in order to put something down for the future, etc. So she's got here how to boost your budget and your budget behaviors. About, she's got 5 basic principles and standards that you can set, and then have understanding of your beliefs and how you will turn a negative response to finance into a positive one, and just help you to do your plan as well. So it's a bit crease, but that's the back of it as well. So as I said, like to keep in contact with all of you, and I don't get back to you immediately because sometimes I'm so busy as well. So I will eventually get back to you. How am I doing for time, McConan?
You can just take a minute and then start to wrap it up. A minute or a couple of minutes.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. There's a lady that's, her name is Leonora A. Headley, and she wrote, these are her 3 books. This is Reflection, and this is to do with her poems, her experience. She's also done an autobiography about her life, what she's been through, and why she started to write. And also, sorry, that I've made a mistake. This is a collection of poems that she does as well. Okay, so everyone, like I like to always encourage you all, is just to keep writing. Sometimes you have what's called a writer's block, but each book makes a difference. And that one book could change someone's perspective on life and their future. So just keep writing. Don't make people think, oh, books are going out of fashion. And one of my customers, she said to me, oh, Alicia, do you know, she was listening to the radio and they said that people are buying more books now and they're reading more. So the so-called lockdown was a good thing because people started to read and they dust off their books that they're meant to read over the years, and they stopped and put it down, couldn't find it, etc. So keep up with the excellent work, and I like my job of selling books. So thank you all. and see you on the next webinar.
You just heard from Sister Leggett. The name of her book selling business is called Nubian Nagist Book. She's a bookseller and she sells a wide variety of books from Black authors that include themes such as African history, Pan-Africanism, spirituality, health, children's books, and also contemporary books. The best way to contact Sister Leggett, if you can contact her via. So it's just gone from sharing. I'm just going to share the screen again via email. That's the best way to contact her. So I've put her email address there. Her email address is nubiannagistbooks7@gmail.com. So you can contact her via nubiannagistbooks7@gmail.com. Now, the best way to stay up to date regarding things to do with the International Book Show, whether it's the virtual book tour, this is the virtual book tour, which happens on the last Sunday of every month. We also have radio shows, podcasts, the International Book Show Facebook group. So what I've got on screen now is the Facebook group for the International Book Show. Now, the recording of this episode of the show, the live stream is there, but the recording, you can go back to Facebook and you can watch the show. Also, it will be coming out on P English Literature YouTube channel as well. But, you know, this is the best place to go regarding, you know, if you want to keep updated regarding the International Book Show and authors that feature on the show. Now, we are coming to a conclusion of this episode of the International Book Show. What I would just like to say is I hope you can join me again next month. The event next month will be on Sunday, the 25th of August, and we'll have a wide range of authors of African heritage that will be featuring on that show. If you would like to get in touch with me, if in case you're an author or you would like to recommend an author to feature on the International Book Show, feel free to send me a message on WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number I'm going to give out is +44 7943 178 117. I'm just going to repeat that in case you missed it. The WhatsApp number is +44 7943 178 117. I would just like to conclude and say thank you everyone who participated on the International Book Show this episode. Thank you all who watched and listened to the show. And yeah, I hope you can join me again, as I mentioned, on Sunday, the 25th of August for the next episode of the show. But as far as the July episode of the International Book Show Virtual Book Tour goes, I would just like to say a warm goodbye. And I would like to also say to everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. So goodbye.